Jason Artiga, and this is another episode of Cinema Macabro. And today is a Monday, September 16th, and I got invited to see Three from Hell, the third installment of the Firefly family trilogy by Rob Zombie. Now, my expectations, I had to remain stoic seeing this film because the last two Rob Zombie films sucked. Now, seriously, I didn't care for 31. 31 was too low budget, even though it had good performance, especially by Richard Brake, who I think is a very underrated actor. I think he's awesome. And The Lords of Salem, which was a disappointment because it dragged on too much and it didn't really have really a narrative to it. It wasn't, you know, it was good in some parts, but Three from Hell came. Now, is this Rob Zombie's worst film? Well, let's get to the review. Now, again, I came in here with low expectations. Then the first 15 minutes, I was like, holy shit. Now, this is Rob Zombie in his form of like House of a Thousand Corpses and The Devil's Rejects. Now, this is more closer to The Devil's Rejects for the simple fact that there's no supernatural horror like House of a Thousand Corpses. You didn't have a Doctor Satan. You never hear about a Doctor Satan in here. And this film begins with like the Firefly family. It begins where it left off, where the Firefly family go out in a hail of bullets. You assume they're dead, but they're not. They all survive miraculously, and you see this in headlines and newspapers and interviews of law enforcement officials and the warden and the Firefly clan themselves. And it starts off with actually Sid Haig, who aged a little bit, but I'm talking about top of his A game in this film. I mean, like he has really good dialogue. He's really scary in it, and he's getting interviewed. And both Firefly males, Captain Spaulding and Otis, they're on death row, and baby Firefly, her fate is yet to be determined whether she goes life in prison or in a mental asylum. So during this time, Otis escapes and gets revenge on the bounty hunter who, did him wrong in the second movie, played by Danny Trejo, and pretty much escapes and meets up with his half brother, played by Richard Brake, also known as Winslow Foxworth Coltrane, the Howling Werewolf. The Howling Werewolf, yeah, that was his name in it. And he is just as sick and sadistic as his half brother. The two hatch a plan to try to get baby Firefly out of a mental institution. Meanwhile, she's pretty much in a threatened state by the correction officer, played by awesomely by Dee Wallace, which is, to me, I'm a big fan of Dee Wallace, and she's definitely the screen queen of the 80s, but she's on top of her A game here, and I never seen her play anything that had to do with the law, and she's great in this film, and she has a great look to her, and her and baby Firefly, like, are already, they don't like each other. So baby Firefly is pretty much like her life is in jeopardy staying here. So the plan is to kidnap, to home invade the warden, along with the both wives of his partner, or I think parole official, and both their wives, keep them hostage and have the warden free baby Firefly. Later on, they escape. They go to Mexico and stay put in Mexico and keep the killing down to the minimum while remaining low key. They get ratted out, and pretty much they find out that the son of Danny Trejo's character, the bounty hunter, is now a cartel leader in Mexico, part of the Black Satans, which is a cartel of men who wear Mexican wrestling mask with a pentagram on it, which is a pretty damn good concept. Uh, the three have to pretty much fight to survive this cartel. And let me tell you something. Again, I came here with low expectations. I love this film to death, and it was superior to The Devil's Rejects. It had a lower budget than both House of a Thousand Corpses and The Devil's Rejects, but yet the low budget actually has more of an intimacy of Rob Zombie's directing style, along with the camaraderie of the crew. I mean, in this film, the actors Sherry Moon, who's Rob Zombie's wife, Sid Haig, and Bill Moseley, it almost feels like these people are really siblings, being that they're a family in Rob Zombie's circle of actors. And not to mention the actors, Rob Zombie likes to work with a lot of veteran actors from the 70s and 80s, and you see really good roles here, like Clint Howard and Austin Stoker from Assault on Precinct 13, who pretty much is the character he plays, like this news reporter who pretty much sets up the story. It's just great to see him even in a small part. Dee Wallace, amazing. And this film, it's just like, it's visceral, it's violent, it's shocking. Three from Hell is not a politically correct film. It's pretty much far from that. You do have homophobic remarks, and this film was not meant to embrace your feelings. Like, this is like an exploitation film in the vein of a grindhouse film that is well done. I mean, if you like films like Desperado, well, let's get to that. This let's get to that later. If you like grindhouse films, um, I mean, if you really like the last two Rob Zombie films, you're gonna love this film because it's awesome. And it also feels like the two different movies at once, because they do reference this movie Desperate Hours. It was a Humphrey Bogart flick, and they pretty much do the same thing in the film because they hatched the plan from the movie, which is to take the warden's family hostage, well, his wife hostage. And the second half is, where it's a home invasion in the first half, it's pretty much like a crime thriller or a thriller along the lines of like the Wild Bunch or Way of the Gun, Desperado. I mean, this has been done before. The whole big shootout in the Mexican villa. Bring me the head of Alfredo Garcia. But that's the beauty of this thing, because since it's low budget and has that 70s look, it kind of feels authentic, especially with Rob Zombie having a cartel of Mexican wrestler luchador mask wearing assassins. And I really like that. The film has lots of gratuitous violence and lots of gratuitous nudity. And I haven't seen a movie in a long time that shows a lot of, breast and bush and pubic hair since like some 70s Ron Jeremy film. I mean, like, seriously, like this film, it would be hard for it to get a R rating if it was widely released. This film was not rated, didn't get an NC-17 for this release because it's not a wide release. But had this been widely released, believe me, this would have gotten a hard NC-17 for a myriad of reasons. The violence is surprisingly shocking in here. It's like, yeah, you like the Firefly family, but what they do is pretty atrocious and violent, and it's like you have a throat cutting scene in one part where it's unflinching, it's not cutting to anything, and it's slow. You have a scene of women getting killed and raped, even though it's implied. You get the message. I mean, Rob Zombie doesn't have to show a rape in this film. You automatically get it with the next frame. There's a scene where a woman is running naked, one of the victims running naked and bloody, and she's being chased with a knife. And I mean, not even like Friday the 13th would show a woman naked in slow motion. I mean, Three from Hell is definitely not a film for feminists or SJWs. It is like a film of die-hard fans of movies, of home invasion movies, and movies like Last House on the Left, and like everybody in this film is on the A game. Sherry Moon is amazing in it. She can act from a 1 to 10, she can go 11 without seeming like she's overacting. I mean, she feels like this silent film actor who's like in modern times. She's very physical in this film, and almost like she has this physical acting like a kabuki actor. It's just amazing to watch. She makes you feel uncomfortable, and she's beautiful, beautiful woman. But never I felt so uncomfortable with scenes with her with somebody alone. Richard Brake, oh, that guy's awesome. He belongs in this franchise. Like Richard Brake is an awesome actor. He has this like southern drawl about him that it's just like either can go creepy or cool. I love him in this film. And Bill Moseley, oh my God, the guy's always on top of his game. He's so interesting as Otis. One thing about Otis is like the guy's interesting as fuck, especially watching this film. You know, like they do some things that are a lot different. And not to mention Emilio Rivera from the TV show of the spinoff of the Son of Anarchy Mayans, who plays like the leader of the gang. He's awesome in the film as a villain. He always has a good screen presence and a threatening one at that. There's this one actor that like I don't know who he was, but he was he's this dwarf actor who had this amazing screen presence about him. Very handsome guy for a little guy, and his name is Pancho Moller, and he's a Chilean actor, and like this guy looked like a mini Snake Plissken. Like he was like a badass in the movie. I love this character. I like his chemistry with Sherry Moon. I would like to, all in all, the film had very good acting, and I would really love to see a follow up to this film. Whether they do it in 10 years or 5 years, the cast still got it. And if they show an older Firefly clan, so be it. But this film is awesome. It would be a really good conclusion to the trilogy. I gotta say, go see this film. Now, guys, if you have any questions or comments about Three from Hell, contact me down below. Leave a comment and just subscribe. And with that, guys, I'll see you guys at the next episode. Peace.